The Super Smash Bros. Series is one of my favorite fighting game series of all time. It's one of the only fighting game series that I know of where you don't need to do stuff like a quarter circle punch for special attacks, yet can be deeply complex just like every other fighting game. Plus, the thought of getting all your favorite Nintendo characters to beat up other Nintendo characters is just awesome. Everyone loves this free-for-all slobber knocker fighting game. I mean, just look at the joy it can bring to people.
Oh, fuck you! Oh, fuck you! Yo! 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 Let's go! Let's fucking go! This show is over! Oh! Oh! Naruto! Naruto! Oh my god! Naruto! 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 Oh my god! Naruto!
But the question is, how? How did this Nintendo All-Star fighting game even begin, and what changed throughout the development of the original game? That's why, today on the Beta Files, in celebration of the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch, we'll take a look at the development and the beta of Super Smash Bros. As many fans of the series know, the original game started out as a prototype called Kakuto Gemu Ryo. However, this is not where we're gonna start. Instead, let's go back even further to this project proposal made by Masahiro Sakurai, creator of not only the Smash Bros. Series, but also the Kirby series, and later, Kid Icarus Uprising. Originally submitted to HAL Laboratory in the month of May 1997 with the catchy name of 4-player simultaneous face-off no-damage battle royale fight, we can see some aspects of Smash that were formulating in this proposal, and some ideas that would also be incorporated into the later games in the series. For instance, Sakurai intentionally moved away from conventional fighting game mechanics and the ideas of unconventional fighting stages, percentages, and even moving and shifting stages had formed in his mind before development even began. There were some ideas that wouldn't make it to the original game, and were instead put into later games in the series. This panel says that there were going to be breakable stages in the game, which wouldn't happen until Super Smash Bros. Melee, and there was supposed to be an after image effect planned, which also wouldn't happen until Fox was given his side special attack, the Fox Illusion, in Super Smash Bros. Melee. With this proposal, HAL Laboratories accepted the challenge and making this unconventional fighting game. Mostly because they wanted to release a game for the Nintendo 64 for the holiday window of 1998, and a fighting game was easy to create in that time frame. With that, they created a prototype named Kakuto Gemu Ryo, or, when translated, Dragon King, the fighting game. They used Mount Fuji and the neighborhood of Ryocho in the Yamanishi province of Japan as backgrounds, which was seen from one of the windows of a branch of HAL Laboratory in, where else? Ryocho. While the design, concept, and prototype was there, Sakurai felt that the game was missing one specific thing: character appeal. With the help of the late and great Satoru Iwata, who coded the game, he and Sakurai created a prototype that pitted Mario, Donkey Kong, Samus, and Fox against each other, and without Nintendo's permission. Though Iwata did ask Shigeru Miyamoto to use Mario in the game, Miyamoto warned him of the heavy responsibilities that would come with using such a revered character, not to mention requirements and restrictions that would have been placed upon them. When they handed the prototype to Nintendo, they were thankfully given the go-ahead, and thus, Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 came to be. While it's no surprise that Super Smash Bros. Is a fighting game about a bunch of Nintendo characters coming together, there were some characters that were cut from the game due to various reasons. For example, the Psychic-type Pokemon Mewtwo was possibly considered for Smash 64. Though there aren't any responses that say this outright, there are email responses from a If There Was a Smash 2 poll that do point to Mewtwo possibly being planned. It's also possible that Marth, the Hero King of the Fire Emblem series, could have made it into Smash 64 as well. According to an interview in the book, Making a Fire Emblem 25 Years of Development Secrets, Sakurai does reveal that he wanted to make Marth a character in the original Super Smash Bros. He's quoted with saying, "Well, I wanted to include Marth in the original Smash Bros. Game as a sword-wielding character, but for Smash 64, there were some features we barely finished in time, and the 4 hidden characters were only created on the premise of being able to reuse some movements and parts of the models of pre-existing characters. So in the end, Marth couldn't make it. 2 characters that were supposed to make it in the game though are King Dedede and Bowser. However, according to an answered fan question by Sakurai himself on the old Smash 64 Dojo website, they were scrapped halfway in development. What's surprising is that the King of Koopas was stated by Miyamoto to be in Smash during a Nintendo Power interview as late as November of 1998, just about 2 months before Smash 64's Japanese release date. Let's take a look at some screenshots of both the Dragon King prototype and the early version of Smash Bros. Via pre-released images before we move on to what's actually left within the game itself. Let's start off with these few screenshots of Dragon King. As I said before, the background picture is of Mount Fuji and the neighborhood of Ryocho, seen from the window of the branch of HAL laboratory in the same place. It looks like for this prototype, they designed a safe, flat stage compared to what Sakurai had in mind before they developed the game. However, they were able to program the percentage mechanic at least. On the stage are multiple non-faced people punching and fighting each other. While it's not confirmed anywhere, some of the poses and moves that these characters do resemble some of Captain Falcon's moves or animations, such as his jab, side tilt, down tilt, knockback animation, and side smash. Now let's move on to the few pre-release screenshots of Super Smash Bros. This first one, which is taking place on Peach's castle, has only 2 things that are missing from the final version. For one, the sign that's on the middle stage is missing, and while the picture is quite zoomed in, this little detail in the corner possibly suggests that the sliding block platforms were also not there, as you can see a clear sky background. Also, another detail here is that Yoshi's icon behind his percentage is actually just a filled-in egg, while in the final game, it has more detail as it looks more like a Yoshi egg. Next up is Pokemon Series' own Saffron City. There are 2 differences in this stage. The floating platform next to the main building has a brown texture, compared to its silver texture in the actual game. The middle building has a pink texture starting from the door that the Pokemon come out from till the end of the rooftop. What's interesting is that this pink texture has returned in the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate version of the stage. While this picture is of Hyrule Castle, to be honest, there's not really anything that I can pinpoint that's different from the final version of the stage. Really, the only thing I can note is that the textures are just more blocky, which is normal for any kind of beta of a game, so let's move on. Here's a pre-released picture of the opening cutscene with Kirby. But what we want to focus on is the background of Kirby, which is the Dreamland stage. And we can spot some differences in the amount of detail in the stage. For one, these bushes in the background were replaced with fences, and the flowers have become more round in the final version of the game. Wispy Woods also seems to have been a shade darker compared to his final game counterpart, as the bark and leaves on him have a darker shade of their respective color. The last beta screenshot is actually the character selection screen. And we can see here that the name of a regular Smash game would have been called 4-Player Battle Royale. Which does describe what a Smash game is all about, but I like the final game's free-for-all banner better. The locked characters also don't show a static image of the characters' shadows. Instead, the locked characters are covered with a color that represents the character. So now with those screenshots out of the way, let's smash open those game files to see what was left on the actual cartridge. And as per tradition, if you want to see the leftover stuff I don't talk about, such as the massive amount of stuff you can do in the debug menu, or this huge amount of leftover developer text, there's a link in the description for you guys to check out. Regional differences are apparent when bringing a game overseas, and that's especially apparent to Smash 64, as there's a lot of differences between the Japanese and international versions. So let's start with that. But there's so much of it that this video would probably go on longer than it needs to be, so I'll be skipping most of them and talking about the more interesting changes. But, like I said before, there's a link in the description of the video for those of you who want to look at what I don't talk about. First off are some name changes to the minigames found in the single player mode. The minigames Break the Targets and Board the Platforms are relatively the same, except with an S removed at the end of both of them. The real change is the name of the minigame, Race to the Finish. In the Japanese version, the actual translated name of the minigame is called Hurry to the Battle Stage. Which, I guess does sound accurate. I mean, you are technically racing towards your next battle in that minigame. The stage names for the regular stages have also changed from the Japanese version. The translated versions of these names actually give more detail than the international version of the game does. For example, Sector Z is named Sector Z aboard the Great Fox in the Japanese version. You can see that other stages like Mushroom Kingdom or Hyrule Castle are named differently or have added details in their names. There are a ton of different audio files from the Japanese version, which is expected considering some obvious regional differences. For instance, the announcer who says the name of the game says the Japanese name of Smash Bros. Let's take a listen.
Nintendo All-Star Dairoto Smash Brothers!
And, because in the Japanese version the free-for-all mode is named Battle Royale, the announcer's voice also changes. Let's take a listen to it.
Battle Royale!
There are also a ton of chants for the characters in the Japanese version. I'll let you guys listen to a few of them. Fox actually has two sound clips in the Japanese version that are not in the international version. The first one is him saying "My turn" in Japanese. We're actually not sure where this audio file is played in the Japanese version, so it is possible that this is an unused audio file in the Japanese version. The second one is him saying "Mission complete." This is actually used in the Japanese version of the game, where it's played during one of Fox's victory animations. Let's move on to the different Pokemon audio files, and oh boy, are there a lot of them. Obviously, because Pokemon are named differently in the Japanese version, Pokemon say their name differently, and considering there's a bunch of them in the game, I'll let you guys listen to only some of the different voice clips.
Dogas Coffee Gummy Blastoise.
The Pokemon name change also happened to some of Jigglypuff's sound clips, as her name is Pern in Japan. I'll let you guys listen to a few of them. This next one is actually very interesting though.
Jigglypuff!
I did mention that Pern is the Japanese name for Jigglypuff. So, why is a Jigglypuff sound clip in the Japanese version? Well, it actually goes unused in this version of the game. However, considering that there wasn't any plans to release the game overseas when Smash 64 came out in Japan, this sound clip could possibly be a hint that the developers themselves were aware that the game could be localized at some point. Now, there are many minor different attack sound effects in the Japanese version, but we're going to focus on two very specific ones. This sound effect plays when you would hit the sweet spot with Luigi's Super Jump or Jigglypuff's Rest. It sounds just like a normal strong attack sound effect, doesn't it? This would obviously change the international version by replacing it with a ping sound, which would become a staple in the Smash series. Now, take a listen to these two sound clips. These sound clips are played when you use the beam sword in the Japanese version. But the sound clips themselves might sound a bit too familiar, don't they? Well, That's because they kinda sound like lightsaber sound effects from the Star Wars series. It's possible that the localization team thought that too, and because they probably wanted to avoid copyright issues, they changed the beam sword sound effect in the international version. What's funny about this is that they even did the same thing with the beam sword in Melee. Let's move on to the 2 unused stages in the game, and both of them take their basic design from the Dreamland stage. This stage, named Small in the debug menu, is very similar to Dreamland except for 2 different things. For one, as you can obviously see, Wispy Woods is missing from this stage, and instead, we have this generic tree. Also, nearly all of the textures of this stage are very different from its Dreamland counterpart, except for the background texture and the textures on the floating platforms. The next and last of the unused stages is this stage, called New, in the same debug menu. Again, there's a tree in the background here, but it's still not Wispy Woods. There are 5 wooden platforms on the stage, and the smallest one to the left moves up and down diagonally. These 2 logs on the right platform move back and forth, and there's this weirdly shaped platform over here slightly right of the tiny platform. Next up on the list is unused graphics for the opening of the game. Although, it's not really correct to call these graphics unused. They are actually used in the game, it's just that the camera for the opening never really zooms out or even shows some of these graphics, but they are there. For example, the window actually has a pole for its curtains. It's just that it's blocked off by the camera after a very brief appearance of it. The bed is also fully complete and with its textures. However, like the poles for the curtains, it's mostly blocked off by the camera with only you being able to see it partially in the actual cutscene. Lastly and surprisingly, this room actually has a door. But you never see this door because the door is literally behind the camera the entire time the intro is running. So, it's pretty interesting that they added a door to the room as a little detail, even though you never see it in-game. What many players know is that, at some point in the game, you face off against a giant Donkey Kong at a certain point in the single-player mode. What many don't know is that the debug menu reveals that giant Donkey Kong actually has alternate colors. However, in the final version, you only see one color of the giant Donkey Kong, even if you play as the regular sized DK. Considering these alternate colors are similar to the DK you play as, it could have been an oversight from the developers when they copied DK's data to the giant DK. However, these unused spawning locations weren't most likely a developer oversight. As you can see, there are unused spawning locations for a regular 4-player Smash battle in the Metal Mario stage. But, you can never pick this stage as a place to fight in the final game. Neither can you choose Final Destination, which is the stage that you fight Master Hand in. Yet, just like the Metal Mario stage, there are unused spawning locations for a 4-player battle. The weirdest place for these spawning locations is the stage for Race to the Finish. This stage is not really a stage that you can properly fight on, not to mention the fact that I don't believe that you can even get a KO here because there are no off-screen places, as far as I know. There is actually one unused animation that is left over for all characters, and it's this weird death animation. Most of the time in a regular Smash game, a death animation looks like they're getting hit by something. This is unnatural because it looks like they're being grabbed by something, or sinking, and just stay static till they disappear and respawn. It's very possible that these death animations could have been used for the piranha plants in the Mushroom Kingdom stage, or the lava in the planet Zebes stage. What do I mean? Well, what if the piranha plants, instead of just attacking you, would actually grab you and kill you by pulling the character down into the pipe, or you would actually sink in the lava in planet Zebes. Again, it's just a theory, but they do kinda look like they're sinking or grabbing death animations to me. At last, but certainly not least, we've come to the huge list of unused audio files left over within the game. Let's start off with some of the announcer's unused audio tracks. Here's the first one.
Bonus stage!
This audio file sounds like that maybe there was going to be one type of bonus stage in the single player mode, or that this was supposed to play for the bonus stages in general. And that's not the only single player mode related unused audio file for the announcer. let's take a listen to this one.
Final stage!
The announcer said, "Final stage," which means that this audio file could have been played when you would have reached the final stage against Master Han. However, in the actual game, it's just an ominous music track that plays instead. Speaking of music, there's also this unused fanfare that was possibly going to be used for the single-player campaign when you would complete a task. Here, take a listen. This next audio file is possibly related to the single-player mode. Let's take a listen.
Are you ready?
Considering that the announcer said, "Are you ready?" this could have been an audio file that was supposed to play before starting a bonus stage, because there's really no countdown and the announcer just says go to start. What's ironic about this is that in later Smash games, every announcer would say "ready?" before starting any bonus or minigame. Now these next two audio files are very interesting. Let's listen to this one first.
Draw game!
You can hear that the announcer said, "draw game," which could mean two things. Firstly, it could have meant that there was going to be some sort of sudden death mode like in the later Smash games, which could have been very interesting to see on Smash 64, or it could just be an unused audio file when two players would die at the same time. But we'll never know for sure. Before I continue with these next few audio files, I need to address something. You guys know what Final Smashes are, right? You know, the super attack that started in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, where if you grabbed a Smash Ball, it would let you unleash a devastating super attack? Well, Sakurai actually had this mechanic planned since the original game on the Nintendo 64. During an Iwata-ass interview of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Sakurai states that it shakes up the rhythm of the match. Actually, I thought of using the Smash Ball since the very first Nintendo 64 version of the game. He even states that there are some recordings from the original N64 game that are unaltered and are being used for some of the characters in Brawl. And he isn't lying about Final Smash recordings being in Smash Bros. 64, albeit they are unused. But let's take a look at the audio files. This first file belongs to the lovable pink puffball of Dreamland, Kirby. Let's take a listen. Now, this obviously sounds like some sort of super attack, but it isn't actually tied to the Cook Kirby Final Smash in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Rather, it sounds similar to his Ultra Sword Final Smash that made its first appearance in Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS. Fox also had a supposed Final Smash audio file that goes unused. Let's take a listen. Translating this, it's possible that Fox is saying, "Come on!" or "Let's go!" This audio clip hasn't been in Fox's Final Smash as of the making of this video. However, Fox does say "come on" in one of his taunts starting from Super Smash Bros. Melee. Now this one short clip belongs to Jigglypuff. While this is only one short clip, it does bear a striking resemblance to when Jigglypuff finishes her Final Smash that appears in Brawl and later games. These last three are the most interesting to me as they do sound nearly identical to their Final Smash counterparts. Let's start off with Pikachu's sound clips. Two sound clips that belong to Pikachu sound like his Final Smash, which is Volt Tackle, that would appear from Brawl onwards. Let's listen. It sounds similar, but I don't believe that if there were going to be Final Smashes in the game, Pikachu's Final Smash would have not been called Volt Tackle. This is because the move itself, Volt Tackle, wouldn't be a named move in the Pokemon series till Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, released nearly 4 years after Smash 64. So, it is possible that Pikachu's Final Smash could have been named something else entirely. Now here's a sound clip that belongs to the PSI wielding boy, Ness. Have a listen. This is the most known audio file that basically confirms that Final Smashes were considered for the original game, Due to NES's Final Smash and Brawl and onwards, PK Starstorm is literally named the same as well as sounds the same when NES says it. And at last, we come to the man who can show us his moves, Captain Falcon. These two audio files sound similar to his Final Smash that would appear from Brawl and later games in the series. Let's listen to them.
Come on! Blue Falcon!
But that's not the most interesting about these two sound clips. These two sound clips were actually re-recorded for Super Smash Bros. Melee, but, like the N64 game, they both go unused in that version as well. That is, until Brawl came out, where they literally just pulled the Melee clips from that game and stuck them into Brawl. What's even more weird is that the Blue Falcon audio clip is only found in the Japanese version of the game, and went undiscovered for 17 years after the original Japanese Nintendo 64 game's release. And so those were the beta files of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. I'll be honest, with the amount of risk and considering Nintendo's viewpoints of Nintendo characters beating each other up during that time, it's surprising that Nintendo even gave Sakurai and Iwata the go-ahead to make this game. I mean, even Miyamoto admitted that Nintendo probably wouldn't be willing to accept the idea. Yet, they gave the go-ahead, and I'm glad they did. Smash Bros. 64, while it is a game that many fans don't go fondly back to, is the start of what is now one of Nintendo's most popular and successful franchises. Masahiro Sakurai had an ambition of creating a fighting game that broke conventions, and they managed to do it, all while making the game both accessible and deep. We may have missed out on some neat mechanics that were originally planned, such as playing as Bowser or Dedede, fighting on Metal Mario stage, and especially Final Smashes for characters, but I don't think that degrades Smash 64 as a whole. This game is the starting point for the Smash series, and considering the amount of development that went into this game, I think they did a fantastic job of bringing beloved Nintendo characters into a fighting game, all while breaking the status quo of what were considered to be fighting game mechanics all at the same time. With that being said, my name's NinFan237, and I'll see you guys next time.
Congratulations!
Hey, thanks for watching this far into the video. Welcome to the end card, where I don't have a script, and because of that I'm going to ramble on longer than I probably should. Anyways, the annotations for the other videos will be on in just a moment, but I have a few things to say. First of all, for my subs, thank you guys for being patient with me, like, for making these as I make these videos, like, one by one over time, because these things take a long time to make. And speaking of which, if you, any of you see anything like a mistake that I did, or something I misinterpreted, something in the actual video, please comment on. Go to the comment section and comment, and tell what I missed or what I did a mistake on. I'm only human, and it's hard to keep track of every single little detail, especially when you're trying to balance, like, university commitments while making these videos. I mean, especially this video, which, like, right now, as I'm recording this is like a week before Smash Ultimate comes out, and I've only done, and 3/4 of the video is already done, so I still need to do the other, 1/4 of it. Oh, goodness gracious me, I have a lot to do. Anyways, this video was rushed. This video was kind of rushed, so I probably have already made mistakes. Anyways, as usual, follow me on Twitter, and follow me on Twitch as well, as, I'll be, live streaming, and subscribe if you haven't. And speaking of Twitch, if you're watching this on the day of, on the upload day, I am actually most likely streaming Smash Ultimate right now. I'm most likely streaming World of Light for Smash Ultimate, so go check out my Twitch. I'm maybe on. I don't know. I usually like stream for like 3-4 hours or whatnot. So go So go check out my Twitch, and if I'm not streaming, then still follow, because I'll be streaming more Smash Brothers. And if you're not watching this on the day of the upload, then I don't know, maybe I am streaming. It's going to depend on when you guys are watching this. Anyways, that should be about it. I really should probably stop talking because I got more stuff to do, like editing, and not to mention university stuff that I still got to do. Anyways, but if you do want to stick around, I have some outtakes, as per usual. I have some outtakes that I'd like to share with you guys, and with the outtakes, I'll be putting the annotations for the video. So if you click one of the annotations, one of the videos, you'll be linked to, like, other beta files and stuff like that. Anyways, that should be about it. I should get back to working on this video, like right now. Anyway, I said anyways too much in this outtake, but I'm doing this one take, so I don't care. My name is NinFan237, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Here's some outtakes. This panel says that there were going to be breakable stages in the game, which wouldn't happen until Super Smash Bros. Melee. I need to redo that line. It sounds like I said like I slurred everything. This game is the starting point for the Smash series, and considering the amount of development that went into this game, I think they did a fantastic jog. They did a fantastic jog. We're gonna see. There's gonna be a GIF. Yes, they did a fantastic jog of Super Smash Bros. How does that even work? These sound clips are played when you would use the beam sword. Who cares? I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, doesn't it? Because the script says but I say A, but it really doesn't matter because it's still a beam sword. Oh, no, it's a lightsaber. It's a lightsaber. It's like, oh my goodness, my singing voice is awful. There are 5 wooden platforms. Oh my. What's a platform game without platforms? Aren't these game designers wonderful? Thank you, Bubsy.